Now, the map picks and the map order for this was a little bit interesting to go over, and we'll discuss that in a moment. But before we even do these intros, I do want to quickly give a shout out to Ting for sponsoring the event. If you guys want to really help us out, if you're considering even looking at Ting, maybe not quite convinced to swap yet, you can go to bttv.ting.com and get $25 in credit by going to that link. And I can either get you something cool off the store for cheap, or you can essentially try out one of their plans for what is almost free. Anyways, or no, plans. Excuse me, they don't have plans. But
yeah,
for a month of their rates. I'm just so tied up in using plans for my phone. It's hard to break that habit, but Ting's not in Canada, so I won't be doing that anytime soon. It is US only, guys. But okay, the last thing I want to talk about before we do the intros is there is a smartphone giveaway. Now, unfortunately, this one is also limited to the United States, but what's kind of cool is they're doing an AMA style for this. So the way to enter it, first off, just type !phone in chat. It'll link you to the tweet, which will give you the details and information of what you'll need. But the TLDR is you tweet at Ting, you hashtag Ting Open, and you just ask them a question about anything. It doesn't even have to be about their cell phone service. You can ask Jesse, does he like butts or boobs? You know, I don't know. Whatever you feel like asking.
Very important question.
Well, she don't ask that because they did request you keep it PG-13 because they want to be able to make an AMA video about it. Anyways, so consider entering in for the smartphone giveaway because, hey, it's free. It just takes less than a minute to make a tweet. All right, so there you go. But getting into game number one, spawning in the top left side of the map, his nickname matches his control. It's the green Terran uThermal. uThermal.
In the bottom right, as the blue Zerg, he's Acer's Bly. All right. ZVT with these guys is going to be potentially funny. They're both pretty aggressive. They're both pretty damn good, too. But, of course, we all know Bly for being Nidus Worms, Sling Drops, All-Ins, early pools, all that, basically. But uThermal certainly has a couple of Terran tricks up his sleeve. I'm thinking primarily something to do with Reapers, but, you know, maybe something else, too.
Yeah, he's actually quite, I guess we'll say keen on Barracks play. But, Zombie, I got a question for you. Really important.
I'm going to answer it wrong, I know.
Can you
give it a go?
Can I get a StarCraft 2 Coke?
Oh, okay. No, you can get a StarCraft 2 Pepsi, because he just subscribed. I thought you were going to ask me who do I like better, Coke or Pepsi.
I would also have accepted is Pepsi okay as an answer. But thank you, StarCraft 2 Pepsi, for that new sub. I know, right? You're like,
it, but I don't want them to.
I know. But okay, Bly,
Pepsi?
Bly gonna catch one of these SCVs trying to build a bunker. Little annoying. Good SCV kill too, but nothing too devastating through this. The command center did get to finish.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite annoying. The Reaper has to come back to help out here, and that's going to take time away from the scouts, of course. You know, Speed is actually going to finish, as actually we can see, he can see.
Goes for
and
the
that
scout.
might make it more difficult to scout with the Reaper, but
it doesn't quite get the SCV building.
but that was a very nice scout, you know, like he actually had not checked the top of the ramp at all until then, so he would not have known that there was not going to be a swap on the factory and the reactor, so he now knows how to prepare against a Woodamine drop. He's going to be pretty easy. Now, you know, it's on the way. You know, Spore Crawler. Actually, he doesn't have to get a Spore Crawler because he went for a 2-base lair. He's going for a 2-base Spire, more specifically, but because he gets the lair so quickly, too, he can just actually get an Overseer.
So, Bly, what I find kind of interesting about his playstyles, we've talked about this so many countless times, right? Like, regardless of what he does, whether it's cheesy, whether it's macro-based, he's a very stubborn player, and that's not a bad thing. It just makes him very frustrating for a lot of players to play against. And uThermal is certainly no stranger to play against Bly. But so much of this series for me hinges on the fact that, like, I think in any given scenario, like uThermal, like, I want to see uThermal in an Archon, because uThermal's control, I feel, is really unmatched by most other Europeans. And it's kind of like Korean tier of, like, good. But it does seem to be, like, his decision-making and his macro, like, combined that tend to flop out in these series.
Yes, definitely decision-making. Yeah, I definitely agree on that point. The drop off the Woodamine because, well, I guess he could. Actually, he only saves it. The Spire is not quite done, so the Mutas will probably not find this medevac, especially if it goes home right now. But this was something that uThermal did not scout. By the way, that's why his name is Maru, because of course he has that good control. But he didn't scout the 2-base lair for quite a while. Of course, the Reaper had to go back home and deal with everything. So he got it just with that that Reaper at the last second. So he knows there are mutas on the way, but he's obviously not too well prepared for it. He was going for a 2-base build because that's the most popular build to do on Lairlat Crest, and he didn't have an engineering bay until just now as it finishes.
By the way, because it was asked in chat, even if you are not a U.S. resident and you want to get into the video, and we'll be playing the video on stream too at some point of the AMA, you can still ask the questions to Ting. The only U.S. region locking, I guess you could say, is the eligibility to win the phone itself. So if you guys want to still ask questions, you're totally allowed. I don't know why that was in debate.
This person's American. I don't want to answer this question. Or not American.
If you're not from America, you're not good enough to ask questions.
Oh, this is
actually a catch him off guard. There's a bunker he can hide in, so this should not snowball too badly. With the turret finishing up, yeah, 2 SCVs going down, it's not too bad.
Yeah. So it was very awkward though, because he got such a late scout on it, and then Jimmy only just finished up. But luckily, he does get the missile turret out in time. We actually did see uThermal on Arena, I think, flop because he didn't scout early mutas, and they actually just counterattacked him and won. But certainly has enough Marines in the main base. That was not a problem for him. And now Bly, of course, knows that he has to defend against a 2-base push, which will be coming shortly, actually, because Stim and Combat Shields and the Medivacs are all timing out.
Well, the wall, I'm surprised he's still not finishing off. It's just like a turret to the south or a depot or two, but missile turret placement is surprisingly nice for this, and it's actually covering the refinery, something that doesn't happen too often, but it is not going to stop it from going down, sadly.
Well, while Bly's Muta Harass has done some pretty good stuff, and it certainly forced uThermal to have a reaction, it's not drawing his push back. And that is a pretty scary push. Now, it's cross-spawn, so not as deadly as it could be in the other spawn locations, but still a large amount of units with definitely a lot of micro capability with the tank drops, which may be ripped soon. But Bly does have about 20-ish roaches on the way.
Awkward.
Well, that already makes the mutas, I think, effective.
Oh, no!
Taking a tank and a medevac and a second medevac.
Stop rallying! Stimming into this is always questionable, of course. He abandons the tanks in the low ground, but there wasn't enough corrosive bows to be threatening in the first place. Bly has a really nice army lead right now, but it's in roaches, things that could get picked off here. +1 weapons is going to finish in about 10 seconds, but they can still take on the Mutalists without it. In fact, driving those mutas back really nicely. Tank control being handled decently on top of this, so the roaches are not getting those kills they're trying so desperately to get. The tanks just starting to shell away. This is perhaps snowballing. Now that rally's looking really good.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they had that other tank that didn't die, this would actually probably have already snowballed. But it hit just before Bly had all of his roaches together, you know, because he was going to have like 25 or 30. And they're still coming out. It hit before his 1-1 was done, and before he could morph in Ravagers. He tries to do so now, and they might get pounced upon with either the Marines or the tanks. This is some really good control on the tank side, too. The 3 mutas having a very tough time getting any kills here, and they do die.
There's a couple Marauders coming out now too, which is going to be really nice to add on to this. I mean, I really feel like with Combat Shields, with Stim +1, uThermal's bio could probably win this game without the tanks, but the tanks just adding that little bit extra. Chases off the drones, third base probably going to go down. These tanks still barely alive despite the best attempts out of Bly's mutas. And this is a lot of what I was talking about, like when it comes to complimenting uThermal, like he will sometimes make mistakes, anybody will, but given your average situation, he's able to fight so much better and so much stronger than most.
Oh, that one muta. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that one muta is actually going to do God's work here. Corsair Battle's completely missed. That was terrible. But as uThermal is driven back, his army that's going to be rallied up at home is not going to look too bad either. So, yeah, he's going to bleed out a couple units on the way home. Unfortunately, those tanks go down. But he killed a good chunk of drones. He forced a lot of units out of Bly. And as long as he can hold this attack, he'll be good to go.
He didn't actually kill the third, which is a little worrying, but he did get a number of drones, say a nice number. So he can defend against this. Only 10 difference in that army supply, down an upgrade, but of course the Roach Ravager just isn't going to do well against Medivac with bio. This is a very dangerous choice. uThermal going for a double drop when he knows the army's right in his doorstep could be, you know, that difference between the tanks getting pounced upon and not, and the fodder that you need for them, but Bly's kind of, wasting time a little bit, breaking on the rocks. Now he might go for it, especially if uThermal drops on his third, he has to actually try and bust. Oh, but he's going home now. He might just lose the third and not have anything to show for it.
I know a lot of drones going to die here, too. In fact, killing the drones, just corralling them in the corner, 2 medevacs full of units stemming into this. Not killing the third's fine if you kill, like, 15 workers. Drone transfer was coming over, too. Oh no, Bly. Oh, God. This falls apart, and he's going to get the third. There's no way he doesn't get the third on top of this. Icing on the cake, picks up, loses a small amount of Marines for it. Definitely worthwhile.
Wow.
And it's not done yet.
These 2 drops, they were dangerous, but they are the perfect choice in this scenario. I guess you could also argue that Bly's choice to retreat was not perfect, so either way you want to look at it. Gonna actually get the meta.
Oh, no way! 12 health!
That was a good medevac too. Of course, uThermal's on a third base. You just continually rally with the 2 bases, and then if you do mine out, you take the third as with your main. But he killed so many drones. He killed the third base. It's being replanted now because he had a couple extra minerals. But Bly, he lost that game with that double drop. It was going to be a good game, even if they didn't do that drop. But now I think he just straight up lost it.
Did he see that with the scan? The edge of the scan may have seen these bird roaches.
We see that one.
Yeah, that's easy with this one. Forcing them on burrow. Unfortunately, Bly not in position. He was hoping to sneak attack and flank a bit with that burrow, but not going to happen. There's a couple of infestors coming out. They're going to have no pathogen glands. So this is like, what, 20 seconds, 15 seconds? They're going to have to wait around doing nothing?
Mm-hmm. It's a long time. That's another third base canceled.
Oh, we got a new sub, by the way. Sorry, I missed this.
Oh, yeah.
Nicola PC Week 94 is what I'm going to go with,
hello.
I guess. Because Nicola Pick Week.
People have, like, names for their subs. We don't have names.
Well, we're kind of like, we talked about, like, BaseTradians.
BaseTradians, that's right. The last desperate attempt to attack, I mean, the entire army really got fungled there, but, like, to no avail. Like, all the medevacs just out-healed it.
Yeah. The infestitarians coming down are desperate at best, but Bly, uThermal doesn't even need to waste a scanner. You just keep pushing. I think he was holding back because he thought Bly had more where that came from, but he doesn't, and that's what makes it so uncomfortably bad for the Zerg in this situation. I mean, I don't think Bly played this up. Play Roach, Ravager, and Fester. Like, that's a very common and a very good strategy, but bleeding out early to uThermal, and really, honestly, never stopped bleeding.
Yeah. And it all started with that attack that hit just before he was ready. 30 more seconds, and maybe this is entirely different, drops aside. And then, of course, those drops were the real just knife in the heart. Like, those were absolutely brutal for Bly to deal with. GG.
First game gonna go to uThermal. But let's talk about the vetoes while you get this next map hosted. uThermal came into this tournament, and it's not his first rodeo, but he didn't know what detox is. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time might not know either, we replaced Central Protocol back when Central Protocol was utter garbage with a map called Detox. Detox, by combination luck, coincidence, and just skill of the map maker, ended up being a fantastic map, so we decided to keep it on for the rest of the tournaments. Now, we've had quite a few good games on this map, and uThermal has no idea what this map even looks like. So we're going to go into this map with this being his choice to leave it unvetoed, and we'll see if this hurts him or not. Bly was kind of the one who convinced him, like, it's a good map for Terran, maybe. So,
yeah,
maybe that was cheeky tactics, maybe it wasn't, but...
Was it Marine Lord? I think it was a Terran, right?
Masa.
And they were like
Masa.
The one that was like this map looks like it sucks, and they played it and they're like, I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah, I think it was. No, it was Marine Lord. You're right. It was Marine Lord.
Okay,
My bad. Yeah.
I thought it was European, but okay.
Yeah. You're correct.
uThermal needs a second to look at the map, of course.
Yeah. The weird thing about this map, though, that does make it like you need to look at it is combination the entrances to your third. And the way the back of the mineral lines work for your fourth and fifth. So it's
even your entrance to your natural, right?
Yeah, well, your main's also low ground instead of high. Well, there's a lot to talk about for the map. We can show you guys for the first time who've never seen it before. But it's really cool, and this map has given us a lot of really great games. Like was it Mana and Hydra? Was it? I think.
That was a great game.
That was a fantastic game on this map.
Penguin versus some other
Penguin trying to base trade on this map. Yeah, that was
Naniwa, was it?
I think it was Naniwa, actually, maybe.
Okay.
Anyways, we'll go over the map because some of you may have never seen it before, but we'll do the intros first. Spawning here on the bottom left side of Detox, it's gonna be the Blue Zerg player Acer's Bly.
In the top right, as the Green Terran, he's uThermal.
Now we did have a problem with. There was a mineral patch here and a mineral patch at the third that were misaligned, but that has been fixed for quite some time at this point. But here's the quick TLDR for those who have not seen this map before. Your main base, a bit of an edged platform. It's got some annoying drop potential we've seen both Zerg and Terran take good advantage of. Your natural base is on the high ground to your main. This is strange, this is weird, it's different, and actually does not give defenders advantage. In fact, a lot of this map doesn't give defenders advantage and encourages attacking. Now, Bly is going to proxy hatch.
Oh,
man.
okay. So I was gonna say even the third to a degree, it's up a ramp, which is what you want for defenders, but it has 2 ramps. But we're not actually gonna get to thirds as we would typically know them as, anyways. So Bly saying, "Hey, this is a good map for Terran," might have been cheeky. Like maybe he was actually planning on ling dropping, for instance, which has been proven to be very effective from 2 different angles. He used, Nidus Worm because there's a lot of dead space too. Or he has figured out that this would be a good build on it. Now, the other maps we see this proxy hatch is Orbital and Dusk. And that's mostly because your Reapers don't scout it, even if you put it in kind of plain sight, I'm not sure. The Reaper would just hop down, right? It wouldn't scout the third.
There wouldn't be a reason to go this direction, no. I also don't know if that's a wall off, by the way. I know we discussed this in one of the previous casts.
Come on.
uThermal, good intentions, but the funny thing is it's not that lings are going to slip by and be dangerous. In fact, it's not a wall off. He's going to... Okay, so he's scouting.
Nice.
Oh, no!
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 Why?
Okay, so he goes to wall off as the priority, which I don't think is terrible, but of course the only information he's going to get from this is that Bly has no natural base. And does that tell him that there's a base proxied? Yeah, maybe. It's Bly. He does this actually quite a bit. At the same time, he may be scared that this could be a Nidus Worm. I don't know how uThermal's going to read or react to this, but he does scout no natural base, and this is huge red flags immediately.
Yeah, maybe he takes a second to look over the map. Wait, is there another place to take your third or your natural? No, what? And now I might realize what's up. So I do like uThermal. Just within seconds of being on this map for the first time, did end up walling this. As he realized that the other main wall off would have been really awkward. So at least he has a wall off. That's where I'm going with that. But it still doesn't really help against this push. We've seen people lose to it after the 10th Ravager in or the first Ravager attack, and this didn't even get the first Ravager attack.
Oh, it just kills me because the SCV was en route to scout that and then didn't. That's, oh man. Well, it's a map he didn't know well. It was cheese that he didn't see coming. 1-1 now the score. And we don't get to tell whether that was a great map for Terran or not. What's the next one? Ruins or?
Yeah, ruins.
All right, I'm gonna go queue up the map intro for that. We'll just get this going ASAP. We'll hold off on ads, guys, because I cannot in good faith play ads after a game as short as that. All right, we're back in action with game number 3. It's tied up 1-1 for the TING Open. And again, just reminding you guys about that smartphone giveaway. Even if you are not in the United States and not eligible for the giveaway, they want to make a video of the AMA taking questions from people. So if you get on Twitter, tweet at Ting for the win and hashtag it TING Open, ask them any question your heart desires, and it might make it into the video. Something as professional as what made you guys want to work with Rifkin and Zombie Grub to silly things. Like, what is your
favorite ice cream
liked... What?
Favorite ice cream.
Okay, that too. I was going much worse than that. So
where were you?
Thank you for cutting me off. Anyways, it's game number 3. Spotting here on the top right side of Ruins. It's the Blue Zerg player, Acer's Bly.
In the top left as the Green Terran, it's uThermal.
Okay, so uThermal, hopefully not taking that particular game too much to heart. Very good player, and I'm not gonna discount him. Again, this is a map he knows. This is a map I think we'll see better stuff on. But seeing a reactor opener already kind of surprises me, because if you're going double Reapers on a map like Ruins, you're not gonna get too much done. Like you're basically resolving to fight in the natural. There's no way to jump up quick to the main. There's no way to skip past this ramp. In fact, you can straight up block a Terran player with Reapers on this map. It's the only map you can do it on.
Yeah, he might just be looking to go up to even 4 or 6, like if things went really well, but it's actually Marines. But I was going to say, if he just went for the 2 Reapers, it could have also just been like one dies, maybe the other one doesn't, you know, lets its friend fall, so you actually do end up getting the scout. Because the first game, which uThermal did end up winning, still had a big problem where he didn't see the 2-base Spire until it was pretty late. But if you don't have a Reaper, just keep your CCV hidden, I guess.
Yeah, that'll be a nice second scout. I don't want to break graphs this show, but I'm pretty sure that extractor vision goes like right to here. So that SCV is like really just right in the cusp of it.
So whenever a drone goes down to the minerals, it sees it for like half a second.
There we go.
That's why he sees it.
Bly will react.
Yeah. Oh, Bly did not scout where his opponent was.
Sent in the wrong direction initially, but that's fine. I'll find out soon after. Even if the links had gone the right direction, they wouldn't have gotten the cancel on the command center. Wouldn't have been there fast enough. But lots of Marines out quick, followed up by some Hellions. And while Hellions have proven to time in and time out been terrible against Nidus Worms, going for something like a Hellbat all-in, just getting these units out in the field. A player like uThermal, who, again, we herald very well for his control, could do some serious damage.
Oh, yeah. So what's quite unfortunate about this, though, is that because Hellions are no longer always standard, and Reaper openers are much more standard, even in Heart of the Swarm, if you see 4 Marines out with Hellions, there's a very large chance they're going for that Hellvat Marine medevac all-in. So it is kind of a tell without them having to even get into the main base. Just they have to see your units. And that's exactly what it is. The armory comes down.
Alright, so Bly is going to go for Nidus Worm himself. So this is kind of funny, because the timing of these pushes could turn this into a base trade. The difference is Bly's able to get across the map or come back home on a whim thanks to the Nidus Worm, whereas uThermal is going to have to commit one way or the other.
Yeah.
And I actually, even like Hellbats are better than Hellions, but even with Hellbats, I don't know that he can stop a Nidus attack. So going across the map like this, he has to hit first. He has to keep Bly at home.
Right. And, you know, of course, the problem is that in a base trade, the units are also just better for Bly. Unless there's like a literal base race, and then, of course, Terran can lift. But we'll see what happens. Usually, I thought the reaction of a Roach Worm was just to react to the Hellbat, not to also all-in with the Nidus Worm. So this is the first time we're seeing this, just coincidentally. The Hellbats do well against the Roaches if they're clumped up. If they're not microing, then of course, the Hellbat damage is still pretty good with the splash involved too. But those, there's like no Roaches.
It's only Queens. It's Queens versus SCVs, because all the Roaches are busy dancing with the Hellbats on this side of the map. Now the Hellbats are being picked off because uThermal is letting him get kited around, and I think a big part of this had to do with reacting to the Nidus Worm. However, Liberator comes out. SCVs are holding the Queens in spot. He's bleeding out workers, but the Liberator goes down, and oh no. Meanwhile, back on this side of the map, Bly's lost a lot of his defenses as well. 7 Roaches about to pop, can and will deal with these Marines, and as said before, uThermal has to keep Bly at this side of the field. If those Roaches find nothing to defend against, they'll just hop through that Nidus.
Or
It
not.
goes down. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well,
I really don't think this is how it's supposed to go.
Well, it's going awkward for both players, no question about it, but the second Nidus Worm, it's not going to have Queens to transfuse it, but it's still going to get the Roaches out, at least some of them. So as all those Roaches go across the map, uThermal says, "What's up? I got some Marines. Come at me."
Yeah, now is Marine drop, you know, it'll take on 1 or 2 Roaches at a time. It can just basically live forever if you played it really right. And
yeah, Bly has to bring those Roaches out of the Nidus Worm.
Losing this. I would have thought a Nidus Worm with Roaches would have hard countered this Hellbat all-in.
Agreed. 100%
Apparently
agreed. I think timing was the greatest friend here for uThermal. Now, unfortunately, with Marauders, a new Liberator, and some Hellbats out, he could probably take on the actual Roaches. There's only 5 Roaches in play. uThermal's been doing a fantastic job, not slaughtering them on the other side of the map, but again, keeping Bly from snowballing out of control. He's going to kill a Queen. He's going to kill the Queen. Oh, no. Wait. Okay, there we go.
Splitting attention, yeah. But the Nidus Worm goes down. That's another Nidus Worm. That's a lot of minerals. That's a lot of gas. And
uThermal might be behind on SCVs because of the way this went. Not by much, mind you, but Bly's gonna have spent so much more money on these thunderstorms, and uThermal has to know this.
Yeah, and just in general is going to have a worse composition going to the mid game. Once, of course, the Stim's done and Marauders come out. Which I think Stim was a contaminated actually, so it was stalled for a little bit. But then put down a bunker, you're safe from the forward attack, and they're both going to macro. And I think that uThermal is in the better position to macro with Mules on his side, of course, so that gap in the workers is actually not so bad. And just the general knowledge that Bio with Medivacs would do better against Roaches in time. And Bly, I don't know if he's going to give him that time.
He's finally going to get that Liberator out, too. He's not been able to deny mining with his drop. And in fact, there's like one Marine in that Medivac now, so it's kind of... Just bring it home, man. Just bring it home. But the Liberator can shut down some of the mining. Bly's going to start getting some Spore Crawlers. I think he knew that this was going to start coming at some point, as he was dealing with Liberators through those Nidus Worms. But yeah, uThermal's, I guess, production did slack. That was the big downside to this, like, for both players, right? You know, Bly didn't have that third, uThermal didn't have extra barracks down, so a little bit awkward on both fronts, but that Liberator is going to be really nice if we can get some hits. Oh, nope!
Or it does that.
That was the worst way to possibly use this. Hellbats fighting against the Roaches with the Marauders behind it. Yeah. This is HOTS, like, straight up. It's like watching Holt in HOTS, specifically.
Yeah. 2010, they would have been Hellions.
Ooh.
Like, good deal.
Tunneling Claws. Did he get Burrow already? No, he hasn't started that yet. Okay.
He's getting another Nidus Worm just as a frontal reinforcement point to try and break the fronts. But, he just saw that there's still a lot of Marauders, still a lot of Hellbats, and
Look how
a
fast
tank
these
is
go
also
down.
on the way.
Look how fast these go down, though. Oh my gosh. And the Hellbats weren't even involved in the fight.
Yeah. The tank is now out and sieged up, and Bly's not breaking him from the front anymore, unless he gets a really good burrow, which they can't actually burrow underneath supply depots if they're up, which makes no sense when you say it like that, but makes sense in the StarCraft universe.
Yeah, well, StarCraft universe, not a lot makes sense in the first place. It is a nonsensical world where things just don't make sense. Now, the next Nidus Worm is going to be hitting the main, but I feel this is actually just a distraction, hoping to get uThermal to respawn with a lot of units up here, and then he'll hit the front. No, he's actually jumping into his open unload. That was a mistake.
Yeah, I guess 4 Roaches out, and that's it. Yeah, it really should have been attempts to bust the front at that point. There was nothing in the bunker, but there was a tank and a Liberator, so both options were going to be pretty bad. It's Bly, okay? What would you expect?
He's a stubborn guy. We know this. Like, this is not new information. He scans uThermal to see what's going on this side of the map, so he does confirm his opponent's got a third. Can almost justify affording this, but these are like every Nidus Worm is like losing a medevac.
Yeah. Well, it's a third that's not even well saturated, which uThermal probably took note of. So he knows that his opponent's not on like a super baller economy, and
yeah, but neither is
he's
he.
SOL. Yeah, 2 bases is pretty perfect for uThermal, but
Well, the income
just that his
grab.
army's getting better.
I know you can't see it because you broke it. Thank you
I
for
broke
sacrificing. Thank you, sir, sacrificing. But it is all blue. Like, it is just heavily painted blue. Someone took blue and just let the paint run down the middle of the screen.
I guess I'm not too surprised by that, but just that it's still a time that favors uThermal with his army. And even without his third base, which he is getting, eventually you just lift your main to your third.
Not if there's all this creep, though. He's going to actually have to deal with that, which is kind of funny to consider.
Yeah, nice use of the Nidus Worm right there. The upgrades actually haven't been started for uThermal. Usually you get at least 1 engineering bay. Okay, well, there you go. Speak of the devil. But Bly started his after remembering or recognizing that you could afford them, as the game is kind of stalled out to a macro game. Double drop once again for uThermal, and this is a little less dangerous than the Larry game, because he is defended with a wall on 2 bases. He's going to go straight to the main, but he might make a pit stop at the 4th. If he sees it.
Please don't see you burn that or the spore color again. There we go. So he's going to be able to deny a little bit of mining. That's kind of good. He is going to unload over here and just walk into the 3rd.
So he's not going to see the 4th, but he will get a couple of drones.
Yeah, and
More than
Bly,
a
of
couple.
course, is really out of position for this. He did go across the map with all those roaches, so reinforcements now coming out.
5, not bad. Again, this could have been a kill in the 4th. Well, honestly, it might even be better that he doesn't see it until it is done, because then it's a guaranteed kill.
If he gets the evolution chambers, actually, that'll help bridge the gap that his upgrades are behind, but he's only got a few seconds to do that, and he's just going to pick up and walk away. Dangerous thing to also note is that there's not a lot of detection. There's a turret here, so it won't be so bad, but there's tunneling claws. He identified this very early, but that's one of those things where you can get caught off guard really bad by just not paying attention for even a second.
Yep. Unfortunately, uThermal went in a diagonal position to take his medevacs back home, so they still do not see the fourth base, which at this point would have been a free kill.
You know,
just too far away.
if you had told me, because we already talked about this being seeming like a hard counter, right? If you told me that someone was going to go Roach Nidus Worm against Hellbat Marine attack, I would not have told you this game would have gotten 12 minutes in. Like, this would have been over forever ago for most other players.
Surprise.
But that's what's great about both of them. Like, they're both good enough to deflect off each other to this point. This isn't like a lot of bad play going down. For Bly, he's wasted a lot, sure, but uThermal going to stim in here and, wreck is a good chunk of his army still in the medevacs.
Yeah, that's a bit of a mistake. Also took a couple of corrosive bile shots, but he did recognize that his army was just better than what Bly had, at least on the front. He did have roaches back at home defending against the drop, so they're going to come forward now. But he has medevacs, he has a very good number of tanks. The only thing he is missing is those upgrades and detection, of course, as we see a bunch of burrowed roaches right here, but they might be in the worst spot. He might scan for the creep tumor, or not. He just runs past. Oh, God.
No.
He scans for the army.
Oh, no.
Oh, this is gonna turn into an all-in. He's gonna get into every single base, but Bly can't really hold with only half of his army either. So
no, and if it comes to base trade, you just lift off. So I mean, the roaches, it's seemingly deadly, but it's really not. The corrosive vials do miss. Tank's not even in this fight.
Yeah.
And yeah, if this goes to straight up base trade, I give it to uThermal like 100% of the way. Even though Bly's got more supply right now, that's irrelevant when it comes to the fact there's a lot of tanks. This Liberator actually will hold the ramp for quite some time as well, as there's nothing to shoot up. No Ravagers here.
Okay, well, a little unfortunate losing a command center for kind of no reason. Hopefully he doesn't lose this one too. He could theoretically just bring the tanks back to deal with the roaches too. Like, there's really nothing that deals with the tanks.
Bly is boldly trying to get a hive while this goes on too, so... ambitious is the word I'm looking for. But that bio gets on top of this. The drones get pulled. Corrosive Bile's landing, but he manages to dodge them once again. Bly's army falls apart.
Oh, the tanks! Oh, the tanks! Oh, well, uThermal got a little too overeager.
But even with those tanks going down, I don't know. You just pick up. Like, there's still nothing that's going to shoot these medevacs down, right?
The tanks, I think, guaranteed an army fight, though. Now, I think uThermal loses one because the upgrade's also finished for Bly at the last second there.
It is 2-2. You're right about that. And the fresh mining base is definitely going to be a bit of a problem.
Which he never saw. Oh, that could have been killed.
Yeah, he's going to go for it now.
Yeah, Merchants might want to pop up and defend that. Hey, there you go. It's burrows the drones. There we go. Good use of burrow. uThermal still is on 2 orbitals. Really should be on 3. He's going to kick himself in the butt for that later. But
I was wondering what happened there. Kind of just the base fell down, but... Oh, the fungal growth would be nice if there's some corrosive bios to follow this up, but there's so few bio that the medevacs are actually healing each of them. But the Roach is starting to win this out, and uThermal may have thrown this game by ignoring those tanks. Like, I didn't think that's such a big deal, but now that you've convinced me, Zombie Grub.
Well, I don't know. You could, like... I'm guessing he only paid attention to his base for 1 second. You know, that's why the natural orbital command center died, because he only looked back enough to say, what's the situation? Okay, here's the Liberator, and then he went back to focusing on his army. So maybe he didn't see how big the Roach army that was counterattacking was.
Yeah.
And that's why he was so overeager to just run into those Roaches and Ravagers, thinking like this got to be most of his army, right? When really it was less than half. So now he's in a very bad position. The fungals are going to be very important too, to ensure that you can't just run around all damn day long.
Oh, he's not going to see these roaches initially. He's going to get right on top of those tanks. There's a turret up for a little bit of detection, but already in range. Gotta pick these up. Picks up one, loses the other. Liberator getting some pretty good shots actually, but even then, it's still like 3 times the supply.
Right, he'd have to start killing bases right now with a good like 4 Marauder drop or something, because Bly is taking back his 3rd. His 4th was the very key healthy mining base. He never actually killed the natural, despite getting it down really low. And uThermal, if he had a big bio army, even without upgrades, it's a good army, but it doesn't have that many units.
Pulls the SCVs in.
Bly's game.
Which is crazy, because I honestly thought this was uThermal's game. Like, without a doubt, when that base trade first initiated, I was like, dude, this guy's got this.
No. See, we're actually really intelligent. We called Bly winning from minute 2. Remember? So
That's right. Because that's
we
the
nailed
lie,
it.
right? He goes Nidus Worms, and it's never like necessarily with the way you think that it would go that he wins, but he does always. this son of a gun. Okay.
Dusk Towers will be next.
Yeah, we're gonna take a short break for ads while we get Dusk Towers set up, though, guys. So we won't be gone for too long. This one's actually just gonna straight up be a short break. I got an eyelash in my red. I gotta go peel this thing out or poke it out. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. We won't take too long. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back with Game 4, Bly versus uThermal when we return. All right, welcome back to the Ting Open, and I feel like terrible right now. Trying to get that eyelash out. I like stabbed my eye, man. But okay, you guys watching the Ting Open. It is a U.S. mobile phone service that sponsors this tournament, and I think that's pretty cool. They, of course, are trying to help you guys save some money each month. We got Ting Jesse actually in chat now, which is awesome. So if you guys have any questions about or for him, please ask them. But oh, it's his favorite build. Let's get these intros done. In the bottom left side of Dusk Towers, he is down in the series. It's the Green Terran uThermal.
In the upper right, as the cheesy Red Zerg, he's Acer's Bly.
Now, the proxy hatchery is going to make this a real pain because this is such a strong build. And uThermal, you can have the bunkers down, but with the build he's gone for, he's not even going to have units inside said bunkers. Now, last time on Detox, it was an auto loss. He just left. And that may have been for a lot of the similar reasons of just not being prepared, but it's also a map he didn't know, so that was somewhat understandable. This time around, he's getting a couple racks behind this CC, and we'll see if this will be enough for him.
I don't know. He also, there was a ton of reasons why he tapped out just instantly in that last game. Didn't know the map, didn't realize it was happening, and he was going for a Widow Mine drop, which might be the most useless thing to have against this, Just a lot of Marines would have been better than a single Widow Mine that only gets hits every once in a while. So 3 racks, if he does buy enough time to actually start producing from them, especially if maybe one of them get a tech lab even, or a reactor, then he might be able to do okay, but we've seen Cyclones come out trying to defend against this. We've seen 2 or 3 tanks, and it still ends up dying. I actually can't recall when we saw this not work.
The best we've seen so far that were bunkers holding positions and buying time. Because the thing about the Ravagers is they don't come out fast enough to get that one volley down to kill a bunker. But you're right, it always seems like this crazy struggle. But I'm sure that this must be beaten by something, because otherwise you'd see Bly do this every single game no matter what.
Yeah, I think the problem is that all the attempts we've seen, the different types of styles to defend against it, there's always been at least 1 or 2 micro mistakes, or 3 or 4, So you end up losing the Cyclone, or you don't move the tank fast enough, or I think the biggest mistake has been you think you've dealt with it when you really haven't. Of course, happens a lot with Bly. The
last game was a good example. Anyways, bunker comes down because his scout on the other side of the map saw there was no natural. So it's not that he knew what was coming necessarily, but he knew something was amiss. Unfortunately, one of the worst parts about this that kind of doesn't get not too obvious right off the bat is these depots getting supply blocked. Having 3 racks production is great, but there's not even depots in the back that you can call supply on. He's relying on these depots, and they are going to both go down, unfortunately, without much of a fight.
Yeah, he's got to make as much as he can from this barracks before he gets supply blocked. But he could have left the supply depot, and that's why
a lot
he
of
did,
Marines.
But he can't really leave the bunker.
The focus fire on top of the Ravagers looks nice. The SCV's killed. Okay, so the thing is though, he's still got an SCV lead through this, which is nice. So he's not 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 through this, which is nice.